Sawubona Sifiso.
Sawubona mlotshwa kunjani?
Ngiyaphila njani mfethu?
Ngiyaphila mntaka baba.
I think for the benefit of our audience, if you can just introduce yourself, where you come from, and what you do for a living.
Okay, my name is Sifiso Madondo. I'm from Tembisa. Full name, Sifiso Pacific Madondo.
Siyabonga bazali.
Laba bakhule nami, they call me Ufanfani. Amajita Upura Estratini. It's a long history behind the name. But grew up in Tembisa, was born there in 1973, 9 of October. Last week Sunday was my birthday, actually.
Happy belated, by the way.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man. So yeah, I grew up there, went to school, matriculated there in 91, and then went to a tertiary Pretoria. It was still then a technicon before it becomes University of Technology. Did my electrical engineering there, and then went and I started working for Eskom and quite a few companies engineering. But I'm raised by Lokiaktala, you know, when we worked at the construction company, Meselani.
Sure.
Yeah, so my dad Begu Meselani, so he was a bricklayer. He came from a KZN at age 13, followed his brothers to Joburg to come and work. So he was working there, and then he grew up Josie, and then he went up the ranks, and then he ended up being a supervisor of construction site. So he's been a construction guy all his life. So as I grew up, as I went to school, because I hated construction, man, it's hard work.
It is hard work.
It's hard work. So I then decided to go to school and become an engineer. But I've gone full cycle, and then I'm back now into construction, yeah. The long and short of it is me, and I'm married, 20 years now. I've got 3 kids.
Congrats,
19, 12, and 19, 13, and 2.
Hi, Siyabonga Madondo. Ubuntu. Why did you leave Eskom to get into construction and follow in your father's footsteps?
Look, when I started working, I actually wrote my resignation letter. From the
when
first
you
day.
started working?
When I started working, I had my resignation letter ready. You know, so, because I always knew, man, you know, as a person, you must always give space for other people. You can't hog a space. I didn't like the thing, you're going about 20 years and stuff. So in my entire career, I think I've worked for 6 companies. So every 5 years, it was my philosophy that I should move. So I moved, and then up until I had put up enough investment and side hustles, and then I decided to say, you know what, let me just give space totally and go and see what I can do by myself. And so far, I haven't done badly.
Is this a jab at our government? Because a lot of them don't want to let go.
No, they should go. I mean, shower stroke going to China. I mean, come on, guys, come on. We all know that ideas come from young people. That's why they are young. They see things differently. You know, we become dogma. The older you get, you don't want to change, of which is natural. So I think they should have new rules in politics where if you reach a certain age, you can't be in parliament. Whose future are you deciding who's for next year?
I fully agree with you. Why did you not study construction? You're already saying that construction is hard. Do you think it was because of the exposure you got seeing your father and with you yourself? And then you're obviously saying that you always wanted to leave. Why did you leave and go to construction, knowing that you felt that it was hard at some point?
Look, I think, you know, with exposure is everything. That's why it really pains my heart when I go around the township and see young, capable men sitting at Konenij and doing nothing. Because if I had exposure, because, you know, my only exposure I had on construction was like the hardworking part of construction. And construction has got so many legs. You can project manage, of which this is what I'm doing now. You can own a company, you can do a lot of things, you know. So I was not exposed on that side of the business due to many things. I mean, I think during that time, because obviously people forget, we grew up under apartheid. I mean, when apartheid ended, I was almost 21. 1994, I was 21. So all the things that I know and the things that, the decision, because you can only make decision depending on how exposed you are. You know, the exposure that I had told me that construction is hard work, because I would see my dad. My dad was a tough guy. You know, masamba lestrati nomsukela, bumping and pama. So he was a tough guy. I mean, I see my guys that I work with construction, child time when they take off their t-shirts, you can see, no, these are really well built.
Abafana now, uyabona ukuthi
Abafana now,
project
yabona.
manager manje wena.
You can see,
Awusasi bricklayer.
I'm no longer a bricklayer, I no longer push bricks and carry the cement up the ladder and stuff, but yeah, that's the reason why I didn't. But with exposure and the other thing that I liked, what made me to actually come full circle, go property, is that as I worked, I always had a side hustle. I started with the side hustle, yama takes, and then I born a taxi industry, okay. But I also wanted a side hustle where I can go to work and this thing can go and work without me being involved. And I thought construction and owning properties was that kind of a business because I like my time. Yeah, I don't want a business that will enslave me, Yeah, my mom had a tuck shop. The reason I didn't like a tuck shop because I have to be behind the counter. I don't want to eat business no. It must be able to scale. It must be able to run on its own. It must be able to give me free time so that I can be with the community, can be with my kids, with my wife, and I can go and see the world, And at the end of the month, I'm SMS alogangena, so I'll be happy with that. So hence the reason I came back to property.
It seems like from a young age you realize that you're not meant to be an operations guy. Maukuluma Ngespaza, you're saying I don't want to be behind the till, I wanted to own the business. Maukuluma construction, the same. What are the various forms or the various roles from your understanding of a business owner? We've identified that there's, let's say, a bricklayer and a project manager. So what are the generic aspects of owning a business or running a business? And then how do these filter into construction? Or maybe you can just speak about the construction and the different role players.
Look, I think my biggest responsibility, Mina, as a person who owns the business, my biggest responsibility, is that at the end of the month, there must be salaries that are paid. So that means I must get the next gig. Yeah. So in the construction, you project manage because you are as good as your last project, so the quality should be good. But the biggest thing, you must always be on the lookout for the next gig. So marketing is critical, it's like a lifeline for any business. So you must continue to market, you must continue to go look for business, you must continue knocking on doors, even though, the nicest position for any business to be at is to have a nice long order book, not too much, because also it challenges the capacity. You don't want to grow too fast, you don't want to grow too slow, but you just want to grow organically nice. Your order book must at least give you up until July the following year when it's January.
What's an order book? Sorry to disturb.
An order book is, if let's say you want me to come into your house and I say to you, okay, I'm still busy at Spreadview, or I'm busy in Natal, I'll come to you in February, can you wait? And you say yes, and then I write you down. That's the order book. So we write all the work down, and then we're saying, okay, in a month we'll be there, and the other month we'll be there. So that's the order book. That's one thing that gives you comfort to say, okay, at least I've got that part of the business covered, and then you can look at other things. But again, like any other thing, the more you do it, the better you become at it. And then it becomes easy and it becomes second nature. But it's not really, really easy. It's just that you've done it for a long time.
Yeah, repetition is the father of learning.
Repetition is the father of learning. You make mistakes, you correct them. You see things. I'll give you an example. When I owned the taxi business and taxi business owners don't make that much money.
What do you mean?
No, they don't make money.
You have to give us numbers.
No, if you sit down and you work your numbers, I'll give you just simple numbers so that people don't get confused. Let's say you've got a car that brings about 500 rands a day, ne? And that car breaks.
Is that profit, low 500?
That's the money that comes to you.
From a driver?
From a driver. Who tell you petrol. Because when you give him the car, petrol and everything. So I tell you full tank, that's money that comes to you. But that money, it must stay there because if anything happens to the car, that money must fix that car. So when I did my numbers did not make sense. We were busy, money will come in, but as money comes in, money goes out. So I also want you to have an observation. There's very few taxi owners who really live their life. Most of them, they are really like a normal guy who owns 9 to 5. Even the way they look, because look, you can hide money.
Yeah.
If you're intentional, but money is hard to hide.
Sure.
It just shows up, So you look for those small things and you can see this guy's got 4 or 5 taxes, but he does not have that thing that says, I do have money. Yeah. So now that I've got the background info, this is why I saw this business, you can just leave. And one of the reasons you can see they did not make money, in COVID, most of about 60-70% of taxes were auctioned, taken away, quantums, because they are living from earnings to paying. So I then understood on my year number 5 when I was doing that business that no, I'm not making money here, but there is a way to make money in the taxes. Okay. Yeah, and this is how I made money. Number 1, I made all my drivers to be part and parcel of the business. I went to them, I said, guys, you are bringing me 500 rands a day per car. I don't want 500 rands a day per car anymore. Give me 750. And they were up in arms. Why? And I'm like, wait, hear me out. If you are going to make your target, let's say my target a week was 2.5. If you make your 2.5 on Monday, I don't care what to do Tuesday to Sunday.
That's obviously incentive.
That's a serious incentive. The catch is if the car breaks, me and you go 50-50 to fix the car.
Okay, so now they know they need to take care of the car.
Now, there's 2 things that has happened there. They are incentivized to work, but they're also incentivized to take care of the car. Then the third thing that I added for them, I had a guy who was fixing a makumbi, for everyone. I found a place for him, and I said, you don't have to work on the street. You're very good, come and work at my place. Because I had an overnight parking for all the taxis. So I said to him, I'll make you a shelter, you come and work here. You fix all the cars for free. The only benefit that I get from bringing you here is that when my car is broken, you fix it immediately. You leave everyone else's car. And then I also want you to give me a list of all the things that generally breaks. And then he gave me all the list of those things and I kept them in stock. So when my car breaks at 9, after doing 250, I take that 250, I pay the guy who fixed the car, and then I get the part and it gets fixed and it goes back to working. Then I started making money. And number 2, my cars started stopping. Because remember, out my shayigile line ubrawayo uphukelo istart bakhipha lesi sakho basifaka ngale bakufonela istatus fill ufaka imali bothenga esinye start. But if he's going to take money out of his pocket, I hope I start is not going to do that. So for the first time, I had consistency now. Every week I would bank money. I could plan. I was banking. I tell you, I was buying everyone else. The reason I left is because I was now becoming too much of a star and I was young. Yeah. Because everyone who had a problem in running their taxi, I'll give them an offer, they'll give me the car, I'll buy them, and their car will start making money. And so, and then I also decided that I'm not going to be in this business for long. Because I always believe in always reinventing. I always move with the times.
You have to move and grow and change.
Because competition catches up. If you're gonna get stuck, competition catches up.
There's one thing I want you to clarify. You're speaking about your mechanic working from your home, and you said they were doing it for free.
Yeah.
Are you saying you are allowing them space to serve other people's cars? To serve other people's?
No. They charged other people.
Oh, they weren't fixing all taxis for free.
They were fixing my cars for free, and they were using my space for free.
Okay.
But everyone else they will charge.
What do you think the taxi industry has helped, or how do you think it has helped that experience in that space? How has it helped you in construction? Because we spoke about old people having to move on from government. In the taxi industry, you're raising now the idea that if you become a superstar, people get jealous, which is the same thing that happens in politics as well. And I can only imagine the risks and the fears.
Yes.
But outside of that, what else do you think it's taught you in construction that helps you today?
Look, in construction today, what I've learned with taxi industry is that I am as good as my guys.
Your team.
I am as good as my team in construction. If my team let me down, then I'm bad. I'm going to always be explaining to clients this. And you see, I'm here now. My team is working.
Beautiful.
And the reason they're working is because they're incentivized. When we get a project, I go and I cost the project. And then I go to them and I say, guys, here's the project. The painters, how much do you think you're going to do this painting for? And they go, they sit down, they caucus. Obviously, I had to refine the system because Beba Ropa, and I'll give them the part. I'll subcontract them.
Yeah.
Bese ba ropana, whoever is like senior on the painting team will want to take more. And I'll say to them, no, don't look at this thing on this project. Look at this thing over time.
Yeah.
Make everyone happy so that everyone will be happy to put in the hours. I'll give you an example. We're doing a house in Hartepies. We'll get there or 7 in the morning. We'll leave there or 7 episode, and no one will complain because it's their job.
Yeah. And it's their money.
It's
like what you did with the taxi drivers.
Exactly.
You were saying if you want to maximize income, it's all on you.
It's all on you, There are projects where we do, because we don't have any project going, then I'd say to them, look guys, I'll have to go back to paying you per day, because on this project, I did not make money or there's no money. It's just to keep everyone working so that the next project, and because I'm trustworthy and I haven't gone back on my word, they trust everything that I say, I'll give you an example. There's this guy, Opesta, he's from Malawi, He comes, emotweni, I have sessions in the car. Masamba sonke, I have sessions with my guys in the car. We speak, number 1, about life. Number 2, we speak about work. Number 3, we speak about what they are planning to do. They must give me their plan. Okay, in 2 years, 3 years, this is what I want to achieve. This is what I want to do. And then we have a review session as to what have you done. But because we get busy and those sessions, they were slacking. This guy calls me on the side. He says, Ngamla, they call me Ngamla. Samara Ngamla, you don't talk to us anymore. Those sessions, they help us. Look, I'm able to build a house. I've built a house, a car. He shows me a picture. The other one says, I bought cows, a Zimu. He shows me. And he says, those talks help. And because the reason I run the business, number 1 is to make money.
Of course.
And lots of it.
That's the number 1 objective of any business.
That's the number 1 of any business. Yeah. The number 2 reason I do business is to make sure that my guys can be able to survive without me. If anything happens to me and I'm gone and my things are paying and my wife is getting all the money, those guys should be able to stand on their own and they start and run the very same business that I was doing successfully. To such an extent that my best performance, because like any other business, there's those guys who you see that this one is here temporarily.
Yeah.
My best performers, they've actually left and started their own business the same day as I'm doing. Yeah. And I encourage that. You know why I encourage that? Because I want them to be independent. Number 2, I don't see them as a competition. Because when they get a big project that they can't cost, they come to me.
Sure.
And when they get a project where they think the client is not going to be honest with them, like in paying, they take that project and they give it to me. I manage the project, the client pays me and I pay them because they trust me. Yeah, man. So that's the thing. So
did you ever, it sounds like umfundisi and a counselor and a teacher, did you ever do the same in your taxi business where you were sitting with your drivers and asking, what is your plan? Do you one day want to move beyond just driving, etc.?
I did. I'll give you an example. There's a guy who works for me, Oscar Dlamini. I love that guy. He still works for me even now.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's older than me, But when I started the taxi business, when I bought the first venture, it was a venture, Tembisa local.
Sure.
He's the guy who drove that car. And I tell you, he came and then he got married while he was driving for me. And I was visiting him one day, Rumini, and I'm speaking to him then. Then his wife says to me, we are going to buy a house and we're going to buy a car and we're going to raise a family. We're actually going to be like you. And I'm like, yes, you will. Oscar is one of the guys who really took up the opportunity when I made them partners on the taxi business. He bought his own taxi, even though they stole it. He bought his own taxis. He bought a house, a Cosmo. He got married. He's got kids. His life is like he's now moved into the middle class. And,
beautiful.
And I'm happy that I had a hand, in helping people to realize the potential. Because I think the biggest problem that I realize as I go around is that people don't get to really, really understand the potential that they have.
Yeah.
And one guy, I think it's Miles Monroe, said, where purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. If you don't know the purpose of the camera that are getting my pictures now, you'll do funny things because you don't know the purpose of the thing that you... So if you don't know the purpose of your life, you are going to abuse your life. That's why you find people, getting involved in alcohol abuse, drug abuse. People don't care. They're asking themselves, why should I care? And I tell them, Guti, Chief, you should care. Because as much as this is Lusitu Muntu Ubuntu Ngabantu, people don't understand the part, how deep that thing is. Let me explain that thing.
Yeah.
Just for a minute, Guti, what it means to say Umuntu Ngabantu. These are the principles that I apply in my business and everywhere else. What it means when it says Umuntu Ngabantu, Guti, I can't be unless you are.
Yes.
Unless you make it, I can't make it. What's the point of having a double story and a camera and everything? It's like issue load shedding. The reason I hate load shedding is because even if I can have backup power, I can have whatever thing in my house and I'm able to get my lights. If my neighbors don't have lights, where am I going to drive? Now that I have to drive, the robots are not working. Yeah. Where am I going to drive? Which shop am I going to buy? Who am I going to phone? Because the network is not working. So it's a typical example that shows you that if my neighbor makes it for me. It's like somebody who can sing, like Penwell. Penwell sings for us who can't sing. Can you imagine? We go and listen to somebody who can sing. Why? Because they are singing for us. Those who can talk, they talk for those who can't talk. So the system is balanced. So umuntu ngempela umuntu ngabantu. I am because you are. So you must excel in your role so that I can enjoy the benefit. Because if you don't excel in your role, you are killing me. If you don't excel in your role, you are killing me. That's why I'm Bateti Sabantu who don't excel in their role, because I'm selfish about me. If you don't excel in your role, you are killing me. If you have become negligent in your role, you are costing me my happiness. You are costing me my safety. You are costing me my life. Who knows? Maybe we would also now these problems that we have. Okay? So that's the principles I use in my business.
Amen.
Yes.
Shumayela Mfundisi.
By the way, I used to be Mfundisi for a very long time. But above every other thing, I just love people.
A lot of people don't have that mindset of empowerment. And to them, it's always competition. If I empower these people, they're going to one day steal my clients. My business is going to fall. If I show them some of the monies that we're making and they see the costing, I won't be able to maximize the profits that I make. You speak very fondly of team. How important is it to educate your team on money so that they are comfortable, especially as Black Africans? We've got a very toxic relationship with money. So how do you get your team to be comfortable with money, knowing that this is how the costing works, this is who's going to be paid what? How do you get them to be comfortable knowing that you as the project manager, as the director, as the president of the project, you're going to get this much, and they are still comfortable and not angry to a point that they want to destroy you?
Look, I think it's all about exposure, my bro. As I said, it's critical. One of the things that I like, which is a byproduct of what I do, is that when I release the guys to go and run their own projects, they come back and they tell me to say, you know what, Ngamla, what we're actually doing is amazing. Because now he's tasted to be in my position. He's undercoated himself, but he must still pay the workers. He must still finish the business. He understands that it's not, you see, when you've got one project where you make lots of money, it does not mean that other 10 projects you've made a killing. They understand that sometimes I make a loss. Sometimes I make a killing. Sometimes we just break even. So now that they are able to run their own projects, then they come back to me and say, Ngamla, like I'll give you as an example of what happened last week. We're doing a pool for a guy lived in Fred next to Mall of the South. So one of the guys who had gone and run his own project and come back because Aganam Sevens to go and work on this project. When he finished his work, he said, I'm not coming in tomorrow. I said, why? He said, look, I know that there's not much work that I can do. And I know that you want me to come back so that you can pay me. But because I've run a project, I know I must not demand payment where there's no money. The job is done. Leave these other guys who are less, who will charge you lesser than me because my rate is high. I will leave. So you can see who this guy is now has got the background info as to what happens when you manage the project. So what I do, my belief, my biggest belief, it has always been my belief. I don't believe in scarcity.
You have an abundance mindset.
I think there's abundance everywhere. I think abundance is nature shows you the abundance. If you live anywhere else, you live any field unattended, trees will grow. Trees will grow, birds will come back. So abundance is everywhere. So if you believe that there's no abundance, then you're actually misinformed. There's actually too big a pie to go around for every one of us. All that we need to do, maybe what we need to teach people is that, look, if I look after Penwell will look after me.
Do we still have that type of thinking as a people? Because we speak about Ubuntu, and I love the abundance mindset, but do our people still believe that if I help you, you will help me tomorrow?
If you don't believe in that, then you are in trouble. Okay, I'll give you an example. You can raise your kid in your house, homeschool him, but at some point he's going to go to the mall. And at some point he's going to tell you, Daddy, leave me at the gate. Who do you think is going to take care of them at the mall? If something happens to them, who do you think is going to run? I'll give you an example. This guy, I was driving in Hillbrow. I'm driving in Hillbrow, and there's these two boys back in school uniform at the bus stop waiting for the bus. The other one all of a sudden collapses. And as I'm driving, I'm watching this thing. And I stopped, picked the guy up, drove him to Johannesburg Hospital, fought with the nurses, they admitted the guy, spoke to the friend, got the dad's number, called the dad, told him that I've picked up your son. He collapsed on the side of the road. He's at Johannesburg Hospital. These are my numbers. Should you need anything, but I've left them with the nurse, so and so. Here are the details. And I left. And this guy calls me, says, thank you, man, for looking after my son, this, that, and that. I would like to meet you. And then I asked him, why? He says, no, I want to thank you. I said, you've said thank you enough. You don't have to come to me. I've done what a parent is supposed to do. If you called me and showed your appreciation and say thank you, you don't have to pay me. I'm being a parent. And people say, no, kids are different. No, kids are still conceived, carried for 9 months, fed, taught how to speak, were taken to school. How are kids different from us?
Yeah.
They are not. It's just what we've allowed kids to learn and to be exposed to that has made them different from us. If we, as parents, take our role, we should be able to get this thing correct. We should be able to get this thing running. It's going to be challenging. It's a different generation, but they're still kids.
I hope at some point we'll unpack, because this is a great philosophy that we need to educate others on. But I'm going to go back to the construction.
Yes.
So you'd spoken earlier when we speak about team, about a project manager, which is who you are.
Yeah.
You spoke about the importance of marketing so that you have an order book and you guys constantly have work.
Yes.
A lot of us obviously know the normal role players, the bricklayers,
the plumbers,
etc. Which other roles in construction are there that people may be aware of so that they can maybe look into it as career options? I think that's going to be my first question. And then the second question is going to be the importance of, to what you were saying, everyone knowing the importance of their role. I am not a bricklayer, I'm a project manager, and I must focus on being the best.
Yes.
If you're a bricklayer, be the best bricklayer. If you are the marketer,
be the best
so that all of us, to what you were saying now in the philosophy, so that all of us benefit, because everyone, goalkeeper, a striker, a defender, if everyone is doing their part, it becomes easier for the superstar. If you're a superstar project manager, Messi to shine for the team. But just to take it a step back, which other roles are there besides marketing, project manager, and the normal guys, Sbabunayo on site?
Look, there's, depending on the size of the company, like where we are now, we have drivers. We need drivers.
What do the drivers do?
The drivers, they take teams to different sites. Like my son now, he works with the team, but is also doubling as a driver.
So how much from place to place?
Look, takes are a challenge. In a sense, you see with construction, it's all about managing the finer details. It's the 5% I was telling you about. So one of those finer details is like, I'll give you an example.
Please explain the 5% quickly for the audience.
Okay, the 5% is...
You were saying you can be brilliant.
You can be brilliant in whatever you are doing, but you need to go and look for that 5% that will make you an exceptional person. A typical example is like Real Madrid. Real Madrid is an exceptional team, but it has that 5% that makes it to be able to win the La Liga and win the Champions League. Manchester City was missing that 5%. They are good. They will get to the semis, they'll get to the final, but they don't win. Because they will win the league locally, but they just needed that 5%. So that's the 5% I'm talking about. In construction, for me, the 5%, number one, you see, if my guys always get late on site by 30 minutes, if we are going to do a 3-month project, if you take those 30 minutes, you multiply it by 3 months, it's how many days? That guy is absent for almost 14 days.
Jeez.
14 days, you've paid him. So those are small margins. It goes to material, it goes to time management, it goes to everything. It goes to even rework, how people have to go back and do the work that they have done. So hence, I am a big believer in, I don't want somebody who does everything in my business. People don't do everything. You've got someone who lays bricks, you've got someone who plasters, you've got someone who does electrical, you've got someone who does plumbing. And if they excel in their roles, then we usually don't have comebacks. So it now pushes us, with that 5% to become the best.
You don't believe in a jack of all trades. You must be a master of what you're doing.
No. You must master just that one. You can be able to do the other ones, just to fill in the gap. If the master is not there, you should be able to do that. But you mustn't be know it all, do it all. No. I don't know it all. I don't do it all,
So you guys have drivers?
We've got drivers. Now we are getting the guy who's doing the image for the business. Like we've just bought the overalls, is updating our website, we're trying to get in with the program. That's why I was excited when I saw these cameras, because one of the things that I want to do is when I start a project, I want to bring in the cameras. So that I create content. We speak to the client, they tell us what they want. On camera, we go and then we execute. They come on stages and then up until we hand over, and then we get the report, and then we can sit down and give the client something that they can put on a TV, on a laptop, and watch and say, okay, this is where we were, this is how our house was, and this is how our house is. And it also gives us that ability to be able to go and watch this thing and see, what is it that we did not do right?
So you've got someone that's working on the brand and the image and content creation
and content creation around the thing. Because I believe that for now, you must always innovate. Who knows? Maybe I'll end up saying no. I will now go into the content creation for all the construction people who are still prepared to go into the construction physically.
Yeah.
I don't know where this rabbit hole is going to take me, but one thing I've learned in my experience that if you follow a rabbit hole, you find other holes as you go down the line, and they might be exciting.
True.
So I'm excited so those are the things. So I've got the guys who are doing the actual work. You've got me as a project manager who goes and look for work. Then you've got the guys who do the driving and collecting the material and everything else. And then we also now started with the guy who's doing the image for the business.
About people like lawyers, maybe bankers, accountants, and the roles that they play in the work that you're doing.
Look, we've got a guy who does the accounting, but not for the construction business, but for the other business that is attached to this business. We don't have anyone legally so far. I think I will need, to look at that space and find out. But I think for me, for now, it's still premature. But with time, I'll have to go to those spaces, where we get these things legally done. And because you'll never know, when Popo hit the fan, you'll hope that Eskom is on load shedding so no one gets messed up.
And then there's obviously, I don't even know what these people do. Your quantity surveyors and your architects.
No, I have an architect per project.
Okay.
They come in specifically when I have a project. We don't have them in our books, because I try and keep the business as lean as possible.
Okay, and then you outsource.
Yeah, we outsource all those things. We outsource. If we have a job that needs us to have a quantity surveyor who's going to do for us a bill of quantities, we all go and outsource those things, and then they give us whatever, and then we pay, and then we go forward. So we don't have them in our books as in like hire them. I don't think anyone still does that anyway.
Okay, you focus more on the building.
We focus more on the building, the renovation, and mostly the biggest one is like your renovation for rentals. That's the biggest one. The construction is growing.
Yeah.
But now the big in this cluster of businesses, the rental one is the one that is bringing most of the bacon home.
Abantu abamnyama abaningi are building back rooms. I don't know if
Yes.
you're speaking to the same thing.
Yes.
And what your views are on that, especially because I know regulation in Makasi versus in the suburbs is different.
Look, people must build, man. I grew up with my mom having a tuck shop. So I also have this tuck shop mentality. Sometimes when you overplan these things, you end up not doing. Because I'm also an academic or a graduate, not an academic, a graduate. So I've seen my friends who are graduate, they overplan. You know, they call me to a meeting and they've got this plan. They want to do this thing. They're talking about funding. And I'm like, guys, just start. So with the spaza shop mentality, you open your spaza, your customers are going to tell you, no, as pay me consoles, pay me Rothmans. You know, your business tells you where it wants to go. Give it time. So this is how I've approached this thing. So when it comes to Amarum, here's the thing. The urbanization is happening at a very high pace.
What's urbanization?
People moving from the rural coming to Gauteng.
Okay.
Gauteng is not coping with the demand. Whether it's government subsidized, whether it's private, and usually government is very slow. So private property owners who are giving these things. There's a business that has taken this backroom thing and professionalized it. But for me, it's not new because I grew up in this thing. You know, I think it was 1989, the Nedbank bought out Permanent Bank. There was a bank called PEM.
I remember Pem Bank.
Yes. PEM had a program where they will come to your house and build back rooms for you. They'll build the rooms and a garage. It was a standard. We knew, Guti, if this house has got these rooms, then they were built by PEM. And then you'll collect the money and then you'll pay your installment. So this thing has been there for years. But for some reason, PEM stopped, but there's a new company that has taken that thing over now. They come to your house. If you have enough space according to their spec, and what they also do, they then go and get you funding, and then they come and build for you, and they manage the rooms for you, the collection of rent and everything, up until you've paid, I think, about 50%, and their shareholding keeps going down as you pay them off. I don't know how long it takes for somebody who has volunteered their house and their space for these guys to come into the rooms for them. But they do nice rooms. I think that's the future and that's where everyone else is going. You know.
Beautiful. I think just in closing, I'm not sure if this is going to put you in trouble.
Yeah.
Especially with abangani bakho nabantu bakini
Yeah.
abazobe sebekufuna imali.
Yeah.
Are you comfortable speaking about your current property portfolio, your personal one, and not just the work that you've done for other people?
Yeah. Well, it depends on what you want to know about it.
Sifuna ukwazi baba ukuthi unemalini khona sokucela imali.
Look, we do make money and comfortably so, you know. But also, you know, property business, because I'm not funded by anyone, I'm self-funding. So as soon as it comes in, it then goes back to the next property to go and build the next. I'm still in a building and in construction phase. Because I buy rundown houses, banks don't want to fund those.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't even give me working capital.
Do you know why?
I don't know. The only thing I can say is that I'm black. Or maybe I haven't spoken to the right person.
Okay.
You know, yeah. That's the only thing I can think of. But I think banks are becoming easier now. They're becoming more understanding. Or maybe we're also becoming better. Because remember, banks are like academics. They like paperwork.
True.
You know, one of the things I've discovered, and I've discovered this thing very late. If I knew, hey, I would have creamed it. If I knew that the bank wants pay slip so much, I would have stayed employed and give them the pay slip and take the money and go and build. I make more money now working for myself than I did when I was working for somebody, but I got more money when I was working for somebody because I had a pay slip. So the bank believes in pay slips.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Again, I know it's funny. Are you comfortable speaking about your own personal property portfolio? How many buildings you have? How many tenants?
I've got 4 properties. I've got one in Tembisa, I've got one in Cape Town, I've got 2 in Johannesburg. The biggest one in Johannesburg has got 21 apartments. And then the one in Cape Town is just a townhouse. The one in Tembisa must still build. I've actually inherited it from my aunt.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, she's late. We're laying her to rest on Saturday. May her soul rest in peace.
Definitely.
But she gave that to me, so I must still go and develop. So personally, that's my property portfolio as a person. But because I've realized that actually I can go further if I bring like-minded people to come and clap with me, and we do exactly what I do, but in a group. So in a group, we've got, I think, about 12 now.
12 properties.
Yeah, and they're all almost fully developed. So each property, give and take, has got about 15 units.
Crazy. Your company's overall turnover, are you comfortable to disclose that? And are you willing and open to working with, let's say, kids that are going to be watching this conversation and want to learn more?
Yeah, I'm willing to work with anyone, but obviously because I'm still, our biggest site or our biggest challenge, with us is the paperwork and the compliance part of things.
So that's an opportunity.
So that's an opportunity, for somebody to help us, to legally comply, with all the things that the government wants. And so because of that part that we are still fixing, and we are fixing because I see how important it is. So I'm not comfortable to tell you actually how much you make because, it's, the compliance part of things.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Madondo, thank you so much for visiting us, and I'm looking forward to you coming back. I personally think there is so much more we still need to unpack.
Thank you, my
From
man.
the compliance, the paperwork, from getting money from the bank, from the difference between Uwaka, Elokshini versus in the suburbs, and all the other nuances we don't know. Because for me personally, I have a wish, especially for Black Africans, to learn not only to build a back room, but to be able to build a neighborhood, to be able to build a city, and to be able to build a country. I don't think we've learned how to do that from scratch. And I think starting here is a good way to get to there.
I'll invite you. I'm building a street. There's a street in Malvern.
Yes.
We own 3 properties on the street. So I've galvanized all the neighbors. And the neighbors, they all have businesses on the road.
Beautiful.
And I'm like, guys, I need you to all donate at least 5,000 rands to me. So that I am going to, number one, fix the pavement. And I'm going to put chairs, I'm going to do a small maboneng on that street.
Beautiful.
Because I believe in building communities, as you're saying, my man.
Sure.
We must build communities, because if we don't build communities, why are we doing what we're doing? This thing must be left behind. It's a legacy. When I die, I don't want these things to follow me. 6 feet under. Those things must remain, and they must work for whoever remains. So we must build legacies. We must build things that last. And for you to build things that last, those things, you must make the community to feel like they're part of it and they own it. And one thing I've learned is that you can buy at the west of the west suburb. Give me any west suburb that you think of. I tell you, if you give me enough time, we can turn that suburb around. I've turned few streets in Malvern. Remember Malvern in a hostel, in a Chippy, in a Denver, in a Josh Koch, in a Wema. All those people are there. If you think there's problems, Jules Street was one. There was a documentary on one of these documentary things on TV. That Jules Street was once one of the most dangerous streets in the country. I went and I bought right there during those times. And like, when one flower blossom in one area, for some reason, and it grows roots and it blossoms in another area. And all of a sudden, the area becomes full of flowers and everyone likes it. It's like that. If something decays, it really decays. But if you build something and people follow you and you inspire people, people start building and it starts coming back and everyone starts enjoying it and you start making money.
Collaboration, networking, incentivizing the people you work with, partnerships, and then taking on some of the hard work and taking the risks.
Taking the risk.
Siyabonga.
Taking the risk. Ngiyabonga mfethu.